All right, and the recording thing is working again. Still just waiting on Melinda to hop in since she wasn't here last time. I kind of wanted to start with getting caught up with her and what she thinks of things that we've covered and things that we haven't. But I don't know how long to wait on that either. She'll pop in or she'll pop in. I like. Sorry, I'm echoing in myself and I keep hearing myself and thinking somebody else is talking. Like I said, I'm horribly unprepared. I meant to like look back over my stuff and I didn't, and I'm here and we're here and hi. Um, but yeah, so we did what? We did chapters 5 and 6
The
and
letters.
the letters. Oh, the letters. How do we feel about the letters, I guess? Yeah, all
That's
right.
very interesting. Yes.
Got it in tragic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I only vaguely exist today, so I'm
No, felt that.
just do your thing, and
This may end up being a
I
short
will
one
be
just because.
here and present, but that's about it.
Um, which is fine. Doo-doo-ba-da-da. All right, so I'm just gonna find where we started, and then kind of start. Uh, oh, she misunderstood because she's in Central Time.
There's a way we need to figure out how to do it where you can type in something and on Discord it'll show the local time where something will be.
Huh. Yeah, no, that's my fault. I thought it's just straight up my fault, actually. Okay. Um, if she can't rearrange, do we want to come back, or she says, "Oh shoot, okay, I'll be a bit late, but we'll open ASAP." Okay, let's just keep going and hope that we've got enough thoughts to fill enough time for her to get here, and then things will open up from there. I'm sorry. I'm. All right, so um, before I say something, let me make sure that my note actually points to the right place. So I guess we've got a couple of similarities between things that Johnny wrote and things that are in the letters. Um, 599. Because so on the first page of chapter 5 uh on page 41. Oh, that's not even Johnny. So that's interesting about what are the implications of this. You've got Zampano actually is writing about at the start of the whole Echo thing. Um, and Pan, being the god of civility and restraint, tears her to pieces, but misspells pieces as Pisces. That same error actually appears in uh, a letter on page 599 from September 7th. Um, to endure over 2 months without a word, and then for the first words, and then with the first words to learn such terrible news, tore me to Pisces. Um, so I think in either one of those places individually, that could have been a quirky error, that could have been playful about. There was some connection that I'm not going to try to recreate because I don't remember it well enough to, but it. could have been intentional, but the fact that that was ostensibly written by two different people um, is weird. And so that might be the first sort of seeds of doubt of like, okay, the narrative as it's being presented to us in terms of two or three different people who wrote the text that we're uh, encountering, and that they found different parts of it, added their own, assembled it in order, might might be beginning to be cast in doubt. Uh, if anyone's got thoughts, please chime in, interrupt me. I'm just going through my notes at this point. Um,
Um, got on 43, where he's treating his anxieties as if they're a tangible, and just that's a kind of a reoccurring thing.
yeah, which episode was this? This was the storeroom one, or no? He's
43.
yeah. I'm trying to. Okay, no, he's in his room for this one. I started to throw up, except I only coughed. I didn't cough. I lightly cleared my throat, and the smell was gone. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think, I mean, how much of that is he playing up as an element of his writing style? Um, how much of that is actually happening to him because of weird things with the haunted text? How much of this does he think is happening to him but isn't because uh, he's got his own issues? So it's like, what are we being told? What does he think is happening, and what is actually happening, and how much, if any, is there a gap between those things? Um, did the letters get into? Was she talking about? Did she ever refer to Johnny spending time in Alaska? I forget.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did a couple times.
So again, there on page on on 43, after he gets done with kind of the I coughed, I didn't cough thing. This much, though, I know I'm sure of. I'm alone in hostile territories with no clue why they're hostile, how to get back to safe havens. An old haven, a lost haven, the temperature dropping, the hour heaving and pitching towards a profound darkness. Um, I don't know if it's got anything to do with Alaska or not, but just an old haven, a lost haven, somewhere where I've been before, somewhere where that served as an escape from bad things in my life, even though they presented bad things in and of itself. But and then just things with the temperature dropping and the hour heaving and pitching towards a profound darkness. You know, Alaska's got the thing where it's like daytime all the time for like 6 months, and then it's dark all the time. And so I don't know if that's got a damn thing to do with Alaska or not, but I made a little Alaska note in the margin there. Um, I liked how his thoughts were kind of exactly ours on exactly how the fuck do you write about an exquisite variation when both passages are exactly the same? Um, I just like those moments where you're starting to scratch your head about something in the text, and you're sitting there like, what the fuck? And then he calls it, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And you're like, ah, I'm there with you, buddy. Um, oh, that was faster than I thought. How are you?
Good. I
I'm
was being
I'm
a
so sorry for miscommunicating that.
I was being just a student, and because I waited to the very last possible minute to get everything read, so I am way behind. So I'm gonna. Oh crap! I'm gonna do a lot of listening here. I'm trying to get my phone. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so
All right. Sorry for the sound effects.
no,
Okay.
you're
Go
good.
ahead.
I did also kind of want to start with you to the extent that we can, because last week was the only week that we've met that we had any content to discuss, and you weren't here. So whatever you've gotten through, either stuff that we've talked about already or stuff that we haven't, if you kind of want to get caught up to whatever extent that you can and share any thoughts that are bouncing around in that old noggin. You're more than welcome to.
Okay.
If you're not sufficiently able to do that yet, I understand. It's
Okay. I'm trying. Oh, there we go. Okay. Lord
beautiful.
have mercy knows. Took me 4 hours to get the. Okay. Took me forever to get the video going. So,
Do we both have our lime
I have
LaCroix going on?
Oh yeah. Oh, look at us. Look at us. I love
Oh,
it. I
I
love it.
love it.
I love it. Uh-huh. Okay, so um I'm sadly behind, okay? So to be honest, I'm on page 11, okay?
Okay.
So everything is very new to me. I'm fascinated, of course, by the discourse on light and darkness and the focus on darkness. I think that's really interesting. I love that he's highlighted house all these times. And so he's making us think about what makes us feel safe, right? So
Ooh.
safety is a house, and
It should be
light
anyway,
is
but
also, yeah, it should be, it should be. I mean, that's kind of how we visualize it, and that's how this whole Navidson's video. He starts out, just like showing a home, and how cool it is to like move into this sort of middle class neighborhood and have the picket fence and then whatever lemonade on the front porch, and
right.
so but it quickly devolves into something other, even though he has complete control as a photographer and is really good at framing, which is what we all do, right? We frame. And so what it questions is the very
We all tell
nature,
stories to
obviously,
protect
of reality.
ourselves.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, he's framing, so it's like the very nature of reality. And, you know, and of course, the book begins with that question, like, how do we know what's real? How do we know what's not real? And, as we get older, what we believe to be the truth is no longer the truth. And so anyway, I'm fascinated. I'm looking forward to reading more. So
That's awesome.
there it is
Um,
in a nutshell.
that's an interesting thought that you bring up over control too. Is you said that he's got ultimate control as a photographer, but that's kind of where his control starts and ends. And it's like as things do begin to evolve, it's just that acknowledgement that we maybe don't have control over anywhere near as
Yeah.
much as we think we do or as we would like to.
And
Um,
we have no control over people whatsoever. And we have even less control over ourselves. So, yeah. Yeah.
ooh, coming out with the hot fire out of the gate, less control over ourselves. No, keep can you keep expanding on that? We have
So,
less.
so I'll quote Paul, that the gospel writer Paul, actually not gospel writer, the whatever you want to call him, theologian, whatever. And what he says is the things that I want to do, I can't do, and the thing that I don't want to do, I do. So it's like, here's this guy who's like a paradigm for, what is good, completely unable to control himself and
What I
do the
want to
things that
save,
he
I
thinks.
kill.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so you're
Yeah.
on page 11 of not 11 of the introduction. You're on 11 of the main text.
Right, right, right,
Okay.
right, right. So
So
chapter
I'm just trying to
two, like,
get.
yeah.
All
So
right.
I
So they're
read that. So I read
making the
the
candles in the
introduction.
front room.
Yes, yes,
You haven't
exactly.
even gotten to the pit boxer story.
No, I haven't gotten to. No, I haven't gotten to anything fun yet. No, although it is fun. I mean, I am compelled to continue to read, which is,
Good. Okay. So
yeah,
one of the first things that we had talked about, not last week, but when we did meet, was that being compelled to continue to read, I think, was an interesting subject because kind of up until the end of the first chunk that we broke off, a few people had said that like just the way that the story is structured doesn't tend to follow a lot of the narrative um, beats that you expect it to, and so it
right.
didn't feel like it was making progress or moving forward, and um, it was hard to continue. So I'm glad to hear that you're not having that issue to the extent that it makes it hard to turn pages because um, that's a critique that I've heard about, especially the earlier parts of this thing. So I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It's
Um,
to be fair, Astrid, my graduate training was in postmodernism. So,
Perfect.
this is completely expected.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Um, I I also don't want you to think that the irony is lost on me on after all the years of me showing up to your classes having not read the things on time that I was supposed to read, that now I'm kind of on the other end of that, and it's exactly
Knew
what I
you would
deserve.
appreciate it.
I
Yeah,
do.
I knew you would appreciate that. Yeah.
I was like, I can't even be annoyed. That's fair. Um, okay, so since we already talked about the thing with the misspelling of pieces to Pisces and the way that that can sort of cast doubt on the narrative that's being presented about who wrote what, who found what, are these different people in the same way that we're being told that they are? Um, Something that I've kind of been clued in to look for, and I can subsequently clue y'all into, is the phrase "out of the blue." And I mean, blue as a theme, both in the word house being in blue ink as well as just blue, but specifically the phrase "out of the blues" tends to be kind of a recurring uh, theme throughout. And I've actually got a searchable PDF of the text. And let me do this again. But the other day, so there are 13 instances of "out of the blue" as a phrase in the text, as well as one on page 26 where it's split up out of the fucking loo. Um, but so out of those, most of them are Johnny's, but you've got two, a statistically significant amount appear in Zampano's text as well. Five, actually, just less than half. So the way that that's spread out, and you have to look at some massive corpus of related texts and academic sort of tone, and how often statistically should this phrase be appearing in texts that are similar to this? Is it a statistically significant thing that it showed up 5 times in Zampano's writing over however many thousands of words that, um, but it's just
Sure.
it's a thing. So that just adds more to that sort of doubt casting process or effect.
Weird question. Do they ever detail what color the house is? Because I
It's
think
white.
that'd be really like,
It's
oh, it's white. Okay, I was gonna
um
say that'd be cool if it were blue.
yeah, actually earlier on in chapter 1 or 2 when it tells you about about the 5.5 minute hallway, it says something about that, like when he climbs through the window, he tilts the camera at the white side uh,
Exciting.
paneling. And yeah, if you kind of look at the spine of the book, these aren't all the same house in the photos, but it's kind of that kind of house is kind of what we're looking at. And then in the back of the book, there's a section on sketches and Polaroids that has other similar photos of similar houses. Um, but yeah, no, it's white. So I've heard a lot of
So
hate.
back,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Just back to the question out of the blue, like, so, what are your thoughts on that? Like the why of it? Why are there 13 instances in that first section and 7 instances in Sampania's? Any just
So one way you can run with this, if you want to kind of put on your tinfoil hats, is neither one of these people that we know of in Zampano's case, and we're more confident that Johnny doesn't, but neither one of them have a super formal academic background, and that can spill into the way that they write. And obviously, as you read their two different, they each have their own voice, and they each kind of, you could take the two different fonts away, and just based on syntax and word choice and just the voice of the text, you can still tell who wrote any given section. And so I think that's just an overlap in writing style and in voice, that might sort of be a chink in the armor that if we're being lied to, and if this is one person instead of two trying to pull in elaborate hoax, either Johnny invented Zampano or Zampano invented his death and the subsequent events of this in
Okay,
order to
got
sort of add more depth, that maybe this is a chink in the armor and a hint
gotcha.
that I don't know if there's anything to that or not, but it's fun to sort of play with your food in that
Yeah,
regard.
yeah, it makes sense.
Um, especially tying into the fact you're not quite there yet, but but you're about to get some very explicit um, examples of Johnny not only being an an being an unreliable narrator, but owning up to it and admitting it and saying, "I don't care, and if you don't like the way I've done this, like, what are you gonna do? Just skip it? Like, have fun." Um, so that can just be one more layer of the unreliability.
Got it. Got it. Interesting.
So, um, how did we feel about the Echo rant as a whole? I've heard a lot of people kind of complain about the Echo chapter. I personally, it's one of my favorite sections in the book. And were we annoyed? Were we fascinated? Were we kind of both? What was our experience?
Annoyed up until the very last paragraph on chapter 47, and then uh, Johnny's writing on 48, which is the unfortunately humans lack the sophisticated neural hardware present in bats and whales. The blind must rely on the feeble light of fingertips and the painful shape of a cracked shin. Echolocation comes down to the crude assessment of simple sound modulations, whether in the dull reply of a tapping cane or the low, eerie flutter in one simple word, perhaps your word, flung down empty hallways long past midnight.
I love that passage.
Yeah, and then Johnny drawing attention that that is insanely personal to Zampano because he is blind,
Yeah. Um,
and
What page?
that
Sorry, what page was
just
that on?
made it
Sorry.
fall into place.
that's page that's page 47 spilling onto 48.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. Sorry, Laura.
Okay.
So, yeah, just to kind of give you some context, he spends a good chunk at the beginning and most of chapter 5 going unnecessarily deep into the concept of echoes, both from a mythological perspective and just sort of the physics of reverberations and why things echo. The part that got me didn't come because I even read that the first time and I was like, that's cute, that's soft. I still don't know why we spent as long as we did on the subject. Um,
Yeah, and I didn't realize either until you pointed it out. Of
so, because it's not for a while later. I think it's towards the end of the chapter, honestly. I want to get the exact. But so it talks about the speed that sound travels and the way that your brain can't differentiate one sound wave from the same sound wave if it returns in less than X amount of time. And so to hear an echo, even with your eyes shut, is to have already seen a sizable space. And then the story goes on, and Will and Karen are in the house in their own rooms doing their own things, and the children are downstairs, and no space in the house, exceeds over 10 feet in length, much less 50 feet, much less 56 and a half feet. And so it's disturbing that from across the house that they hear the laughs of the children are echoing down a space that shouldn't be large enough to create an echo. And the first,
57.
yeah. Oh, it's on
Page 57.
page 57. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even underline that. So
Terrifying implication of their children's shouts is now impossible to miss. No room in the house exceeds a length of 25 feet, let alone 50 feet, let alone 56 and a half feet. And yet Chad and Daisy's voices are echoing, each call responding with an entirely separate answer.
that was the point the first time that I read this, that everything about the echoes was justified. And it's like, now I get why we spent so much time going that deep into the concept, is because it comes back and it matters and it's
Yeah.
terrifying.
I was the same. Oh, sorry. I was the same way. Because they were going on about, like sound and the physics of sound, and I was like, okay, I don't really know where this is going, but okay. And then I forgot about it. First of all, like I
Exactly,
had
because
put the
there's
book down,
just
like taking
enough
a break.
time.
Yeah, and then when I went back to it, I'm like, okay, yeah, something about the sound, and then like I forgot about it, and then we came back to this instance where like she's like reading tarot cards in the bedroom, and like he's off doing something, and all of a sudden they hear like their children screaming from so far off, and it's such a like unfamiliar sound, like that's so chilling, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's starting to
Yeah.
tie in together, and that was really like impactful moment, I think, with the whole build up.
Yeah, no, it was. The other thing that I took out of the Echo chapter, y'all may have recognized my little, my little, my little status blurb on Discord. The key, I'm sorry, I'm gonna try again to put my little thing in, because somebody can keep talking while I'm working on this. I'm making a mess. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, the part where Zampano is referring back to the John Hollander text and the examples of um, things being cut off and echoed in a way that changes their meaning, and the one about Ki Darafine Grandalor, who will bring an end to this great suffering, the hours passing. I just I latched onto that the first time I got it as well. Um, but yeah, when there is no echo, there is no description of space or of love. Again, I'm just going through my notes. Um,
On 72, my earlier comment about treating his anxieties as if they're a tangible enemy is kind of called into question as he, if I remember correctly, he was physically injured in one of his anxiety attacks.
Mm. Oh, the scratch on his neck.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he fell down the stairs on the way out of the shop room. And so there's that amount of plausible deniability in there about I saw something in the dark in here, it was attacking me, it was scaring, and then I kind of came to my senses and no, I wasn't, but I fell out of, I fell down the stairs on the way out, dropped all of this ink, um, and then he said that he didn't even know that the scratch was there until a client had pointed it out, and he was unable to respond. Um, and so yeah, that just kind of plays with that concept again about what was he seeing, what was he not, what did he think he saw, was he correct, what are we being told and why. Um, did anybody catch? And this was my third or fourth time through, and I just now caught this. Did anyone catch what was up with when he came out of the words filling my head and fragmenting like artillery shells? Um, the known some call is air am. Okay, I'm gonna look smart. I'm gonna look smarter than I am. Um, so it first comes up on page page 71, while he's in the storeroom. It comes back again at the end of that story on 72. Um, now, though, I realize what I should have said in the spirit of the dark and the spirit of the staircase. Known some call is ere am, which is to say, I am not what I used to be. Going to the and going to the mom's letters on page 602. Look at the italic, or is it italicized? I don't want to speak before I get there.
What page number? 602?
Page 602. It's about a third of the way down after this second complete paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
The Latin statement.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Known some call is Aram. I
Oh,
I am not what I used to be, and I was just like, oh, it's right there because you're pointed to go to pointed to go to the letters, like at the end of the chapter where that takes place, and so it's still somewhat fresh in your mind. And I've just been chewing on like, why that string of words is there for a reason, and just bouncing around with it in my head. And then I read that, I was like, I am not what. Yeah. Anyway, I felt accomplished with that one.
Yeah.
That was the main trick that I had up
Cool.
my sleeve
It's a
for
cool
this one.
one.
Yeah.
Um,
Now that we've managed to get to the letters,
yeah, if we want to spend some
so,
time on the letters.
something I at least noticed was, well, going back to 585 with the obituary, his father's last name is redacted, and yet neither his nor his mother's is.
Interesting.
Which you would think that one way or the other, those would be the same. But
Because his is already not the same as his mom's.
yes.
So you would think that the dad's would be one or the other. Um, what else does he redact in that?
585 is the
Yeah. Yeah, he redacted the date of birth of the father, which hardly seems relevant. Um, the high school that he graduated from.
airline that he flew for.
Yeah.
and and his wife's name, and Johnny's name.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of the timeline. Because the dad was there when Pelafina was, he's the one that took her to the institution. And do we have dates for that? Well, no, because we don't even have the dates that the dad died. That got taken out too. Or no, that's July 1981, which is about a year before the first letter from the mom. Now we don't know how long she was there before she was allowed to start writing, but
It says it has been a tough year.
I would imagine that it's been a tough year because it's been a year since the dad died.
See, I was also thinking that it wasn't the dad who put her in the institute. It was after he died, she was no longer able to kind of be kept at home and care for Johnny, and
No,
so she was put in.
it had talked about he walked in when she was trying to choke Johnny as a kid, and he tore in and pulled him off of her, and that's when he had to take her. Um, yeah, I feel like there's also a lot that's easy to glance over, especially as the letters kind of start to fall apart. That might be more there than. Like, I mean, you can just tell that she's extremely like well read and intellectual when she's there. Um, I don't know why I'm flipping through. It might be easier to pull up my handy dandy searchable PDF. um,
How many times does she say the director is a decent man?
um,
She says it a lot.
the string decent man itself only comes up twice. If I just search for decent, we've got 7 matches, but within the letters, uh, the new director is in fact none other than the old director, the patient one, the decent one, the honest one, the kind one, who has been um, there's something very slight but noticeable just the same way. A nasty twisting wire woven into the fabric of an otherwise perfectly decent man. So I mean, 4 or 5 anyway.
Yeah, it's makes me think that maybe he's not such a decent man.
Or at least she doesn't perceive him to be in her altered states, and then kind of comes back to and
Well, yeah, because for a while she thought that he was a completely new director.
right.
And then also when he retired, she couldn't notice that he was now a new director.
Yikes.
Yeah, when he actually did leave. Yeah. So from her letter on March 19th, 1988, I don't have a page number on the PDF. Um, but she's talking about you were leaving as I was leaving, and so I tried before that great leaving to grant you the greatest gift of all, the purest gift of all, the gift to end all gifts. I kiss your cheeks and put your hands around your throat, etc., etc. I'll never know how close you came to that fabled edge because your father suddenly arrived and roared in an intervention. Um, you were a mess, but aside from a few evil coughs and dirty little pants, some half moon cuts on the back of your neck, you recovered quickly enough. I did not. I had long, ridiculous purple nails back then. The first thing they did when I got here was tie me down and cut them off. Um,
What date was that? You said
that is the letter from
It's
March
page
19th,
630. It's on page
1988.
six.
It's, I'm sorry?
Page six. It's on page 630. 629 and
awesome.
630.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I also think the similarities in his injuries when he falls at the tattoo shop are referenced in the mother's writings as well.
It was on
Because
his neck.
the crescent imprints on the back of the neck, and then also she mentions on page 587, love inhabits more than just the heart and mind. If need be, it can take shelter in a big toe for you then. And when his boss asks him, like, Jesus Christ, Johnny, are you okay? He later says that he mumbled something about how much my toe hurt.
Yeah, because he
Um,
stubbed his toe when he fell down the stairs.
yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I found that interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, that is interesting. Huh. Huh.
Uh, 5 matches. Yeah. Whew. Um, I had found online the first time I read the book, the one where she writes where you got to take the first letter from each word and use it to assemble all the words. I had found one where somebody just did that and just posted the text that comes out of it. I can find that again and put in the server if y'all want. It's not anything new. It's not anything that's not right under your nose. It can just save you some time in getting through all of that if you haven't already. Because I spot checked it and it seemed accurate as far as I could tell. But
I'm literally going through that exercise right now.
yeah, you don't
Did it
have to. You don't have to. I'll post that today.
sick. I didn't save the Word doc earlier. I'm stupid.
Um, just trying to see if I got anything left from the main take. It's been almost an hour already, which it doesn't feel like it has, but um, yeah, I've been recording for 44 minutes, so good enough. I
Yeah,
didn't just
my
stop recording, did I? Oh, am I dumb? Am I dumb? No, it's still going. Okay, no, it's still going. Awesome. Wonderful. I was like, nobody say anything cool.
yeah, my only other notes were for chapter 6 and the hatred of the house for animals.
Yeah, that was weird because like everybody who talks about it kind of like does a short little blurb on it and was like, "There's more to talk about there," or like, "It's weird that so and so didn't talk more about it," and then They just don't talk more about it. Um, Ooh, I'm gonna make 1 point with 2 points actually, or 2 points with 1 point. I don't know how many of you I have made to watch. Um, it's Such a Beautiful Day by Don Hertzfeldt, but I had meant to make the comment before that that make the comment before that Pelafina reminds me a lot of Bill's mom from that, but also the thing about the um, saying how it was weird that the other person didn't write more about it, and then you still don't say more about it reminds me of Bill's uncle, who he had not even noticed in the room, said something profound about how we don't ever tell people how we feel about them until it's too late, and then he said nothing, which just reminded me of that in a convoluted way as well.
So they managed to go into the hallway. Yet didn't the hallway have a door installed?
Yes, uh, Will and Tom had it open. They were taking they had a strobe light and they were taking stills from the outside, I thought.
Okay.
Um, I think.
Yeah, some still shots of the
Yeah, Tom helps
hallway.
Davidson. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was like, wait, that's a good question because that was after Tom installed it. Now, the door did not come when the hallway first appeared. When it first popped up, it was just sort of a gaping door-shaped hole in the wall, and then the hallway came out of it. And after, I forget when it was, but Tom went and bought the hinges and the hardware and this acoustically proof door, and then he installed it. And then when he turned the lock, it clicked back in a way that echoed, that implied that it had grown because it when he put the door on, the hallway had shrunk to an extent that it wasn't large enough to make that echo. But then as soon as he installed the door, he turned the lock, and the click echoed. Um,
So I think another really chilling thing was I forget where it was. I didn't make a note of it, but the children wanting to play hallway.
oh, yeah, no, that was right after Will had come out of it, and Hazy. Yeah, that was
I
right at the end of chapter 5.
okay.
Um, because she didn't want to play hallways, she wanted to play always, which
Right.
um echoes hallways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. I know that I had more. What? Also, just tying back into even like Zampano himself, um, writes in a better academic tone than Johnny does, but even still has some quirks, and we start to see that with um, the bullshit list of photographers that went on for like 2.5 pages for no discernible reason. Um, yeah, as well as some of the photographs by any one of these hundreds of names. That'll work. That'll do. Um, yeah, we've got the thing with the location of the hallway changing, at least in the text. That Johnny calls it out as well on page 4. Um, Initially, the door was supposed to be on the north wall, but now, as you can see on this page, it's on the west side. Maybe one of those is a typo. Maybe it actually moved. Um, Fuck if I know. Your guess is as good as mine, in Johnny's words. And again, it never really comes up again. Um, oh, I also just laughed my ass off at Johnny's line. If you've never had a similar experience, then you should come to grips with the fact that you've got a TV dinner for a heart and might want to consider climbing inside a microwave and turning it on high for at least an hour. Which, if you do consider, only goes to show what kind of an idiot you truly are, because microwaves are way too small for anyone, let alone you, to climb into. And it was just okay. Um, for us Tumblerinas on here, I made a note in the margin just to be funny. I said, "Yeah, we microwaved your boyfriend, TV dinner heart and all. Sorry." Just to be stupid. Um, it was right after I got done making fun of the way that Johnny was writing about Thumper. Um, also made a note in the margin about she breasted boobily, just because it was that annoying sort of style of writing. Like, please, we get it. Um, oh, yeah. So the little image plate behind the cover that's too big for the cover, that part,
Mhm.
um, it's got the little like air to ground things. The aircraft badly damaged with the two right angles of the triangle, safe to land. Um, I didn't know why that was there, and now it makes sense that like, the dad was a pilot and liked to fly. But on page 48, you've kind of got um, right at the bottom. He says, "What kind of ground air emergency code would that mark mean? The opposition of two L's." Which here it's called out as that's being all as well, and then he proposes, not understood or probably just X marks the spot. What marks was he talking about there? I don't know. This is one of his little. Uh, yeah, no, I'm staring right at the page, and it's one of those where like he just kind of starts saying shit, and you're just like your eyes kind of start to glaze over, and it's like, what are you talking about, bud? Silvering wings, fragmenting, then scattering like fish scales flung over the jet stream above the clouds, and every epic venture still suggested in those delicate, light cradled borders. Other lands, sweeping the world like a whisper, a hand, even if salmon scales still slip through words as easily as pollen prisms of soul will always slip through fingers, shimmering, raining, confused, and no matter how spectacular forever. What are you talking about? I don't know. Like, I know that I've like poured my heart out to all of you in text at like 2 in the morning, being a sappy fuck, and I know that I've always had like a very flowery way of writing, and now I see Johnny who writes in a way that is flowery to a fault, and I'm like, I hope to fuck this isn't how I come across to any of you, because good God, this is impenetrable. Like, I hope I'm at least more coherent than this when I'm spilling my
Yes.
guts to you.
To be fair, I've never thought of you as a flowery writer, Dylan.
Really?
Astrid. No, no. Flowery is not how I would describe your writing. Mm-mm.
Well, now I don't know if I'm hurt or affirmed by that, actually.
No, no, no. I detest flowery writing. Okay,
Okay.
it's like, yeah, no, 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 no. Now you're a good writer. Good lord.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, I think that's about all I've got. Yeah, that's all I've got. Or that's at least all I've got that I can tell you about yet. Um, so next week, I was trying to look ahead at how big of a chunk to break off. Um, and it was gonna shake that we can either do a hilariously small chunk or a hilariously large chunk. I was starting to lean towards the hilariously large chunk, but Melinda, if you still have to get caught up with what we've done so far,
It's okay.
Um,
You can do a hilariously large chunk.
so where are we? So chapter 7 starts on page 80, and it only goes not far, like 20 something pages. Wait a minute. Is there something in between there? Because that's not.
Chapter 8.
I wish that they put the chapters in the table of contents, but instead you just got like the entire block of the notes and record starts on page 1, and then the appendices start on page like 685 or some such shit. And it's like,
So it looks like so 97 to
yeah, 97.
106. Yeah, to
Wait a
chapter
minute.
8. Stops at 106, I think. Chapter 8.
Okay. Also, I just saw, as we're trying to flip through and see where the chapters are, there's a little check mark in the bottom corner of page 97, like Johnny was asked to put in the bottom corner of one of the things that his mom had mailed to him.
Huh.
And again, every time I've gotten there, it's been so long since I've read that by the time I get to this page that you just gloss over it, you don't see it, but now I see it, and that's weird as well. Okay. So yeah, I guess so if we go to 107, that's a slightly small chunk. But if we go past that, we've got to go to like 153. Now, you get some weird stuff starts happening. So not all the pages do everything. But so I'll let y'all make the call. I mean, do we want
I'm
to do
fine with that. I just
27 pages or 70 something?
I'm happy to do that. I just haven't had a moment to
Okay.
read in the first weeks of classes.
No, I understand. Okay. So we're going to go to 153, we said? Which will be good. You'll be like well into the story by then. So yeah. Go through chapter 9, as long as there's no objections. Floor's open. Okay. Um, I'll let y'all know if we want to push back the time that we meet next week an hour or two. I don't want to cancel because I know you've only got the next 3 weeks here, and then you're going to be out of town for the entire month of March, right, Melinda? So I
Yeah,
want to take advantage of
yeah,
the weeks that you're here.
yeah. I'm actually leaving the 23rd. But like if I'm at the airport, I can still like on some of these days I'll be able to still be a part of it, at least listening,
Yeah.
and maybe speak. Probably not video, but at
Okay.
least listening and speaking. So,
Yeah. So, but yeah, I want to take as much advantage as I can of the weeks that you're going to be able to be here. So I don't want to cancel next week. I am going to go meet my mom in Tallahassee for
sweet.
a late birthday lunch type thing. So
Nice.
that's like the 3 hour drive back, 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive back. So
Did
if
we
we
miss
do,
your birthday? When's your birthday? Was it your
yeah,
birthday or your mom's birthday?
no, it was mine. It was a week ago tomorrow on the 30th.
I'm sorry I missed it.
You're fine.
Did y'all
I don't mind at all. I get uncomfortable when people make too big of a deal out of my birthday, so I was happy to have a chill, sort of low key moment. Um,
Okay. How old are you? How old are you, Astrid?
I hear you in the room, but you don't have a green box, and I don't hear you through my headphones. I don't know if anybody else hears you or
Oh,
not.
yeah, I had my thing.
Okay.
Okay.
I just turned 25, so
25. That's what I thought. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because you're younger than Robbie. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Did you have a question? No?
Oh, did we want to make it official that like we push it back to 4 Eastern, 3 Central?
If flexibility is a challenge to anybody else, we can go ahead and preemptively make that move. I'm fine with still aiming for 3 and then just if I'm driving back, I can send a text and be like, hey, let's do. But that's open. I'm fine either.
I'm happy to do. I mean, that's fine with me.
Okay. All right. So yeah,
What
I'll
about
just
y'all?
like I don't want to take up y'all's entire day, and if you've got things to plan around this, like we can be as flexible or as fixed as we need to be. But so yeah, let's still aim for 3 Eastern, 2 Central. And if I'm late, I'll let you know at least an hour in advance.
Okay, sounds good.
So,
All right.
all right. Well, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. No, thank you.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
All right. I'm gonna stop the recording, and if I can, I forget where the thingy is. Okay.